Live from the Echo Network Studios here in Royal Oak, Michigan. This is Odd Musings, and we are your hosts. I'm Brett Pinson.
And I'm Scott Zambelli.
Welcome back. Happy birthday, Scott.
Hey, thank you. I am now officially, I have passed the 186 and a half year mark in Mercury years, if I lived on the planet Mercury.
Yes. And the people in Sri Lanka have been celebrating for hours.
I can't imagine the party going on there. I want to thank them for all their generous, support.
Yes.
And
because we are huge in Sri Lanka.
We are.
And that's not just a hate joke. Hey, I got a fake phone call coming through.
Fake phone call?
Yeah, it just popped on my screen there. You got to love that.
A phone call?
Don't you get all these ones, they call up and they're always trying to sell you insurance or something else?
I like the one, it's a recorded message and it says, don't hang up.
Yeah.
And then it goes on about chronic back pain.
Yes.
And if I block the number, they still call back.
Yeah, I block the numbers and then they leave voicemails.
And
the voicemail says, don't hang up. I have to hang up. You're a voicemail. I don't care.
Yeah.
So Scott is now 45 years
Big
old.
45 has...
Any big plans for your birthday today?
Working.
I'm
working. Yeah. That's it. Just the usual stuff.
Very cool.
I don't really, I've got a little pet peeve with birthdays. Mm-hmm. I don't care about the whole getting older thing. That part doesn't bother me. But it's the one day of the year where you have no freedom because you have to be there for everybody else. It's like, what do you want to do today? You say, it's like, oh, we can't do that. It's like, okay. So, you tell me what you want to do on my birthday and I'll do it.
There you go.
So that's my birthday.
But you get like a free meal at Denny's and you get free, like Deidre says, happy birthday, old man.
And then people will be like, what do you want for your birthday? You say what you want. I'm like, I don't want to get you that. Okay. Well, give me money then.
What do you want?
Well, I don't want to give you money.
Well, I need new pants. No, you need something fun. Well, pants can be fun.
So I just feel like birthday is the one day of the year where it's not your day. See, the other days of the year, nobody cares about me, so I can have my peace and quiet.
And I usually do dinner with a friend, and then you get the coupons for free meals here and there if you sign up for them and stuff like that. But my best birthdays were always either when I did them at Comic Cons because I was at Comic Cons there. Okay, was that you, Dom?
Dominic is having his own show over there.
Yes, because I did a few birthdays at Comic Cons. I had one at Disney World. I went in 2009 when they were doing the big thing that year.
Dominic's having audio issues.
All right. Settings, volume down. So, but yeah, I mean, but most of the time it's like if you don't have something like special plan like that, most of you're working. I mean, my birthday I didn't work this year, but could have if I wanted to, and that, or you go do stuff. But yeah, most of the time it's like people you have to coordinate with everybody else. It's like, well, I've got to work. I can't take your birthday off.
Yeah,
but it is what it is. I mean, I celebrate just my birthday day. I know people like to do either birthday weeks or months, and I'm like, okay, I'll joke and say stuff like, okay, it was my birthday this month. Someone can do something for me, but I don't care either way. But happy birthday there, Scott.
Yeah, and then we also had a fun weekend at Flint Comic Con. Want to thank Randy Zimmerman, who was our guest last week.
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago? Yeah.
What did we talk about last week? Was it 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, it was 2 weeks ago. We had it on ahead of time because
time's gone by so fast.
Well, the cool thing is we get up and set up on Friday, and then we all went out to dinner at a place called Blondie's. Really good.
And they had these everything was from scratch.
Right. You got you shared with Mom the chicken strips, and they were gigantic chicken strips.
Chicken planks.
Yeah.
They called them.
It was like here's just a whole big piece of breast that we're just going to give you right there. And I got the meatloaf that was really good, and they had two different sauces, and I got bacon meatloaf, bacon wraps was wrapped around the outer edge, and you can get it either with a barbecue sauce or they had a demi-glaze. I got it with both. I would say both were equally good. I like my mac and cheese. You didn't like yours as well. Yours was a little runny.
It was okay.
Mine was thicker and wasn't runny.
Yeah, but everything else was phenomenal. We had those the pulled pork nachos.
Yep, the potato chips that they make in house.
Yeah, so all those were excellent. But we also had a pleasant surprise in the live music.
Yeah, I brought her CD because Scott and each brought a copy of it. But Jamie Marvin, and for you guys to see online there, and that, so you can find her at jamiemarvin.com. It's JAIMEMARVIN.com.
Tell her Odd Musings.
Tell her the two guys that bought her CD last Friday.
She'll say who?
Yep.
No, but in all seriousness, this will put me on a very slight rant. she had a wonderful voice. Yes. And this is coming from a creative point of view here, is, we hear so many things on the radio and stuff where they're overproduced, auto-tune, all this stuff. She had a truly good voice. Her CD's great. I enjoyed the songs. So I'm really glad I bought that. And she's a real talent. I really enjoyed it. She was singing a lot of, she was doing all covers while we were there. Yeah, but her CD is all originals. It's all originals on the CD. She also had everything set up, so she had basically her own drum set type deal, but it wasn't a full drum set. Well, she had the bass, the pedals, and then she had that, I always forget what they call it. It's that machine where it'll record, so she'll record a beat, and then she can put it on a loop. And so that'll be her background. She had to go with it was a snare drum sound, that, and a couple other things. Yeah. So she had a full sound going on. It wasn't just an acoustic with the guitar, but the guitar was playing in. And then her voice was great. Yeah, I would love to have had a recording from the show last Friday. That was really good. Her cover songs were excellent. Yeah. And from looking at her website, it looks like she plays there quite regularly, but she also has other places that she plays. So check her out. Yeah, and, so definitely check her out and see that. So we enjoyed that. And nice to support local talent. And I like good live music like that. And it doesn't have to be the blaring, blow your eardrums out. So I like good musicians. Yeah. And that's what she is. She's a good musician and a good singer. So she's really a fully talented. So it's nice to kind of hear that. And then, if you're listening, feel free to be a guest on the show. You can play live in studio, and we'll compete against Dominic's show. Yeah, there we go. We'll start bringing musical guests in. But then we had the Flint Comics Fall Fest on Saturday. Yes, we did. Unfortunately, we were competing with and it's a good cause, the Breast Cancer Walk. Mm-hmm. Normally that would not be the same time, but it was kind of, they coincide. We were at the Great Flint Farmers Market. Loved that farmers market. The Mexican place added a wood fire oven, so they were doing pizza too. So they're now Italian and Mexican. Mm-hmm. The pizza was really good. I gave you a couple pieces of that. Yeah, that was really good. And it wasn't bad. It was $13.99, and they called it a medium, but it was as big as a large. It was big. And so well worth that. We had a good breakfast at Steady Eddie's there, walking around, a lot of good other stuff there at the farmer's market. Mm-hmm. But I had a lot of fun. And then my friend, who I've known since she was wee little thing, now she's 18, got her 15th anniversary book for See-Through Baby. She's getting tall. She's like 6 foot. Yeah. But you look at her dad, Joe, was like 6'1". Yeah. And the thing too was she's tall. Actually, she's probably not 6 foot. Yeah, she was this big. She's probably more like 5'10" to 5'11", but she likes to wear heels. Yeah. And so she's like 6'1". And by the way, she has 2 second-degree black belts, so 2 different styles. So she can put a hurt on you. But Perry is awesome. And this was See-Through Baby's 15th anniversary party. They call it by Scary Perry Toth, with the help from Levi Krause and Randy Zimmerman. So that's the book. I bought that, and that's available if you just contact Flint Comics, and they can put you in charge of the good one. And Brett has a starring part in one of the pages. I had a couple things in here. I have a picture in here of me. One thing is she's wearing my Boomtown Press jersey that I gave her when she was wee little. It's pretty cool. At the end of the book, it fits her now. At the end of the book, they did like a photo album of her adventures through the years doing all these comic books. How old was she when she started? She was like 3. Oh, 3. Yeah, her sister Elaine was low. She's been doing Comic-Con since she was 3. It's hard to see though, but the picture here is you got Shelly, that's her mom. Mm-hmm. Tornado's back there. Joe. There's me. You got her older sister Elaine, Perry, and that is George Perez and his wife Carol. Yep. And we were all at Disney World. That's right. Good times. I got to go to Disney World with them. That was after the first MegaCon in 2008. Mm-hmm. You can see her kind of grow up through here, all the different pictures and things like that. Some of the different adventures they've had over the years. I think it's such a great memorial to all the work she's done. She did a cover for Josh Warner, WARNER, out of Chicago's Moose Might, which is The Adventures of Mighty Moose. That was a parody cover. She did it back in 2007. That was 11 years ago. So she was like a 7-year-old kid. Yeah, that's roughly when I first met her. I have this actual book. I have the Scribble Monster book, and it's got just a lot of great cool stuff, drawings and comics that she's done over the years with other people. It's got a ton of interviews. They got a ton of interviews that are in Flint Comics, including a few that haven't even made print yet. They're going to be coming out in later issues, but they wanted to have. Is there a website for her? That's what I was looking to see if she's got. I know she's on like Instagram and stuff like that. If you Google how do you spell her name?
Scary Perry, Peri, is the best way to trying to find her. I don't think she has an actual website. They had one of Ty's Sisters Comics. She's probably not old enough to have a Facebook. So she's 18 now. She shouldn't be old enough. I'm kidding. But there's a couple of things in here. Like she was in the Fat Mama comics from Who Wants to Be a Superhero, and the one in here is the one that I colored. So it's colors by me.
Cool.
So that was kind of fun in that. So I was real excited to be able to buy this. She put a thing on her thing about people supporting, and I kept forgetting to send the check because I was just too busy, and it was my fault. And so I was glad they had these copies, and I had money. I said, here's money, bring me a copy. I got copy number 55 of the first 100 run. So
cool.
And Randy signed it too, so it's a big deal on that. So definitely, like I said, go to Contact Flick Comics or Google Scary Perry if you want to try to get a hold of a copy of this. They're going to do another printing down the road. This is the artist edition. I think the future ones won't have all the photos because it does cost a lot more to do that. But it's a big book. It's a $50 book, and it's well worth the $50.
Yep. Cool.
So it's good seeing
them. We also got to catch up with Varian.
Yeah, good pal Varian. And Varian is, we know, had kind of like a mini stroke of types. Mm-hmm. And I know you kind of helped out a little bit for them when they needed help. And look, he had a buddy of his, because I don't think he's driving still, but he drove them up there, him and his wife Krista. And
yeah, so he definitely has his sense of humor back.
He was definitely, it was definitely good to see him. I can tell he's still working on getting better 100%. Yeah. But he's pretty much almost there. His humor was there. We got the joke a little bit.
Yeah.
And I tell you, it warmed my heart to see him come in, because as much as Varian can kind of irritate you after a while, because I was glad to see he's doing better. And I love Varian. I like to pick on him a little bit. And there's other things I say to him I can't say on the air here, but that's between him and I as pals.
I thought we were supposed to lie and say nice things about him. Okay. In that case, Varian, let me say this. No.
Oh, no, he knows I'm saying that. The most will say is he irritates you, but now he irritates you in a good way. So, but it was fun. It was great to see him. We had a great time all day. And
so good times were had. And
I saw a few other people at the show. We're going to have Mike from Great Lakes Comic Convention.
Yep, that's
come on December 26th. Talk about that and his February show that he'll be doing. Yeah, and he'll have some announcements then. He hasn't announced yet, so I don't want to get. He told me a few of the guests that got coming. I'm real excited about those, and so we'll see that.
Cool.
And then so that's kind of everybody wraps up the Flint things. We had a good time there. Headed home.
And then there was a local regional celebrity death.
Yeah, for those that are from the Detroit area, you may have listened through the 90s into the 2000s, the Drew and Mike Show. And Mike Clark, 63 years old, passed away of the Drew and Mike Show. Very unexpected. He was been doing the podcast with Drew. Hadn't been on as much lately. Right. But they were fixtures in the Detroit market. They were the top guys, and then they had a falling out with WRAF, and they were let go, and they brought in the new crew they have now.
But they were on from 1991 to 2013, and that's quite a long run for a show like that.
And during that time, Drew left for a couple years,
Yep.
and was trying to do some other things, and then came back.
Yep, he was gone from 2007 through 9, mm-hmm. But to have that kind of a run, and they were pretty much number one the whole time. I don't know if there was any.
I don't think there was a time. When they were basically let go, they were still the number one show.
They were still at the time number one.
But I think part of it too is they had some management disagreement, stuff like that, because these guys, they knew they were number one, and they probably deserved everything they were asking for.
Yeah, but in
the best way.
With Mike Clark passing away, everybody's talking about it, and you just see how many people listen to the Drew and Mike Show, and there were so many great skits and moments from that show that so many people have in their memories.
And the thing they did was they were kind of the shock jocks, which you had a lot of those going on.
Yeah, they
weren't trying to be overly rude and everything else. A lot of things they did was, they had I mentioned the Harris poll right away, because that was always my favorite thing.
Well, they were kind of edgy and crude, but they weren't Howard Stern. Like, Howard Stern was being shock jock just to be a shock jock.
Yeah, he's always like, hey, I got this naked girl sitting here, and it's like,
right.
Whereas Drew and Mike were
they had immature, crude humor,
but they were actually Detroit focused. They brought up a lot of issues, and when there was something going on that they weren't happy about, like around the time the Kwame Kilpatrick stuff was all going down, they were very vocal on everything.
Well, yeah, and so many things. I think what made them so good was they had such a range of topics. Drew was an expert in sports. Mm-hmm. He was a big news guy. He loved following politics and all the different news stories of the day. They enjoyed. He was a big follower of like murder mysteries. Like, he liked watching those and following those cases. Mike was a pilot. He was a medic at one point.
Yeah, he worked for Ford Motor Company. He was that was his career. He was going to be. He was an employee there.
Yeah, radio was an accident.
Yeah, he kind of
stumbled on. Planned on doing radio. So So the two of them brought so many topics to the radio that almost anybody listening would find some element of their discussion interesting.
Yes.
And I think that was what was so nice about it.
Yeah, I always enjoyed that. Actually, we were talking about like the Harris poll. They call up people named Harris and poll them on questions. They had some
and you'd always get hilarious responses.
And when they got someone that they liked, they'd ask them later on, hey, can we call you back later? And a lot of them, though, I found out they were actually recording those after the show. So they weren't calling people too early, and there was actually a pre-recorded bit.
Yeah, after the show would be done, they would actually do those phone calls later in the day.
Yeah.
And then in the next morning play those.
That was also they could get permission from the person, and then because you had to have permission to air that, and then you get the ones like, can we call you back next week?
Yeah,
we'll have another topic. And you had the ones like it was like the same person. I was like, I saw the whole thing. I was standing right there. That's the person they called every single week.
Another one was they had this bit that they did for elevator calls. They would find out the phone number. You know, when you go in an elevator, there's a little emergency phone. They would get a list of phone numbers of all these different elevators around the country, and they would randomly call these phones. So the people are in the elevator, all of a sudden the phone starts ringing, and they're like, hello? And then they would make up a scenario. They're like, whatever you do, don't touch the button. Somebody peed all over them. Like, they'd come up with different scenarios. Yeah. And the people would be like, what?
Well, it was like that, and then they had when the band Morningwood came out, so they had to call up every CD place, like, do you all have Morningwood?
Right.
They're like, yeah, well, you better knock it down.
Yeah, they would do those kind of jokes.
And then they do their little, like little play skits. I've got a CD of a bunch of them at home somewhere I'll have to find, and those were always great. Oh, do you remember when in the Man Expo?
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Over at, it was at, where was it? I think it was the Silverdome or Palace or something like that. And it was it had this big event going on. It had been well, it couldn't have been Silverdome, so it had been like the Palace or something like that. And it was on the main floor and everything else. And you walk in, they had beer tents set up everywhere. Mm-hmm. They brought in because this was after
they had like the big jacuzzi set up too.
Yeah, they had the giant jacuzzi.
Yeah,
they had the basketball going on, and then they had Pedro from Napoleon Dynamite there was a guest.
That's right.
And it was great because it was like they kept hearing about these. They had these advertisements on the radio for all these women's expos. They're like, we're going to do a men's expo,
right?
You know, and it was like beer and chicken wings and other stuff like that. So
for me, the part where I laughed probably the absolute hardest was when they did those clips of Schwarzenegger. They would do other celebrities too, but the Schwarzeneggers especially, and they would call people and they would play the clips to create a conversation, and the people would actually think they're talking to this person.
Like,
so
hello.
He's like, I'm a cop.
I have some questions for you, and you're gonna answer them.
Yeah.
Who's your daddy, and what does he do?
And I would be laughing so hard. I'm in the car by myself in rush hour traffic, laughing, and I'd be like wondering, like, are people like looking at me? What's going on?
That's usually when you look over, half the people around you are laughing. So you know
You're right.
But they would do some crazy stuff like that, and they were semi-crude, but they were never too rude or anything out of line. And
when it would get too far, I think that's where they were a good balancing act for each other. Drew would steer it back in if it was going too far. Mike had a tendency to go really far into the crude and immature humor, but they balanced each other. Yeah. And I thought they were a great team.
And Mike's Mr. Stress was always great.
He would do the traffic report.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh God, it's backed up on 696 again.
Yep. So good stuff, and we appreciate the laughs. So
and someone that they talked to on the air too. So rest in peace, Mike. Who we're going to be saying that, but Dennis Hoff from the Bunny Ranch, the legal brothels in Nevada.
Someone I never thought we'd mention on this show.
They talked about it. I was listening to Bob and Tom this morning. They talked about him dying in that. And he was with. He's been, I guess, a domestic partner with Heidi Fleiss, the former madam from L.A. Mm-hmm. So they were together along with Ron the Hedgehog Jeremy.
Oh God!
And so they were partying Monday night because it was Dennis's 72nd birthday, and then 11 o'clock in the morning yesterday, I guess the Hedgehog goes and opens the door to wake him up, and he finds him dead. So he died in his sleep exactly probably the way he wanted to go after partying in his own brothel.
Yeah, I just thought it was interesting. He passed away the same day as Mike, only because I only know who this guy is because of the drama.
And we heard about Mike first, and he was like, "It's probably Mike died," and Dennis was like, "Oh, that's my buddy. I could go hang out with him."
Yeah, but so anyways, so that was surprising.
Yeah,
but so anyways, rest in peace, Mike Clark. Our thoughts and prayers are with your family and friends.
Yeah. So, and then of course we had the yesterday. Besides the celebrity, that's the YouTube outage. Oh my gosh,
YouTube.
About it went down last night for a few hours, and people lost their mind.
Yes.
So I can't watch cat videos.
I didn't realize it was out. I don't really go to YouTube for videos.
I only knew it was because people were started posting on Facebook.
I was seeing posts.
Yeah. So I went and checked. I was like, oh, I guess it is out. And I checked it this morning. Oh, it's back up. And I was like, how many views of the Odd Music Show did people miss in that short time span? Probably all of them. So speaking of YouTube, if you haven't already, go to YouTube. Go to actually oddmusings.com. Click over through our YouTube channel through there. Subscribe. We're trying to still get it to 100 so we can get an actual YouTube link. So once we hit that, you'll be able to see more videos, and be more than like 4 people listening to them, I guess. But
that's
YouTube.
right. Plus you.
On the SoundCloud, we're big in Sri Lanka, so that's all that matters.
That's all that matters.
So, but what we're also big at is with our sponsor, Loringer Family Chiropractic, where your journey to wellness begins here. Build a healthy lifestyle with chiropractic care. At Loringer Family Chiropractic Center, PC, they take great pride in providing the finest chiropractic care to each and every patient. They offer on-site digital x-rays, massage therapy, orthotics by foot levelers, young living essential oils, aromatherapy, full line of vitamins, all in a family-oriented environment. Located in Belleville, Michigan and Dexter, Michigan, give them a call, 734-697-4244. Visit them online at LoringerFamilyChiropractic.com. We have a link also at oddmusings.com under the sponsors page. If you have a business you want to have promoted by Odd Musings, get a hold of us through the oddmusings.com site, just like Loringer Family Chiropractic, so we can promote you and share you all over the interwebs. All right. So now we get to talk
zombies.
Yes. So both Z Nation and Walking Dead started up at the same time.
Well, for
different days,
seasons.
but the new season started up.
So they're on season 5 for Z Nation and season 9 on Walking Dead.
Yep. We talked a little bit about that last week with it being Rick's final season and that. But you finally got caught up on the first 2 episodes.
I did, and I think I mentioned last week with episode 1, I was a little disappointed with episode 1. I felt the pace was extremely slow, and I was just like, oh, come on, what happened to this show? But I will say, I watched episode 2, and the pace is moving up, and it's starting to grab my interest again.
Well, we're starting to see some pretty cool tensions between the different groups. You have, just like in the comics, they now have the Sanctuary, you have Alexandria, and you have the Hilltop. That's the 3 main locations that are all dealing with each other. They're all independently run, but together at the same time. So we're starting to see those dynamics and who's in charge of each one.
What I always found interesting about Walking Dead originally was the zombie apocalypse is the backdrop. That's the setting. And that's never been the real story. The story was always in analyzing the human condition and how do we, in an uncivilized world, how are you going to act? Right. Are you going to still be civilized? Are our morals and ethics still going to matter? All these things, and so you get that interperson struggle, and that's where the interesting part is. And I felt like those last few seasons, because it just became about the 2 groups shooting bullets for 10 episodes straight. Well, it lost that dynamic.
Yeah, season 8 took place literally over about like a 48-hour period. It took forever to deal with that resolution.
Maggie was pregnant for 2 full seasons,
right?
So that it just shows how slow the pacing was, and I think they lost that. And with this one, what I'm finding interesting now is they finally let go of that scenario where it was just this loop of the same thing. You find a car, somehow gas appears, you drive. The world is decaying now. Now it's going more towards a Wild West feel, because they're having to recreate technology. But you're also seeing, how do you recreate democracy? How do you set up a new government?
Well, and that's what we saw in this one. Is you have Michonne talking with Maggie about we need to have some group laws, basically, that cover everybody, not just your own city or whatever.
Right.
It's like we need an overarching thing, and I think it's the start of rebuilding the democracy that they want to have. But it's also to control it. To have somebody, something happens in one place versus another, but also it establishes proper trade. And what we're seeing now is Maggie is saying, hey, we're the ones that grow all the food.
Right.
We control everything. Here's what we want. And these people are hungry. Great. Well, they got to supply most of the labor for this bridge you got.
But then you also get the conflict with there's people who are thriving in the new chaos system.
Yeah.
They may not want this new government to be put in place. Look at Daryl. Someone like Daryl, for instance. He was a nobody before the zombie apocalypse. He was just some backwoods guy with an abusive brother and abusive parents and whatever. But he thrived in the chaos of the zombie apocalypse. And
he became more than he probably ever would have.
Right, and even in the episodes back when they first started with Alexandria and stuff, as rules were coming in, he was feeling trapped. Mm-hmm. He's like, I do better out there, and he even said that in the episode. I think this last episode, yes. He goes, he was in charge of the sanctuary. And he's like, I don't want to do this. I belong out there. Mm-hmm. So will someone like him, will he want to be part of this new world order they're creating, or will he want to be out in the woods on his own?
Right.
So it's
and that's
it's an interesting dynamic.
What we saw though was he got into it with another guy and they went at it.
And it was good to see Daryl finally fight. I mean, he's been like useless for 2 seasons.
Every time you saw him, he was either running around somewhere, kind of background more than anything, or crying. Mm-hmm. I was like, that's not Daryl. But now to see him kind of stand up, like, no, I'm not. He's not playing this game, and he doesn't like these guys because most of them had a hand in torturing him.
Yeah, I even liked how he kind of confronted Rick a little, and he's like, are we on the same side? And then Rick's like, well, you tell me.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of what we're seeing is who's got sides where.
Yeah.
Carol is with the Kingdom. I forgot to mention Kingdom. So we got 4 locations.
Yeah.
You have the Kingdom as well. And again, it's all changing. I like the fact
Can we please kill Tara? She needs to die. She should have died back when the governor was there. There's no way this woman would have survived this long.
She probably would have.
Tara.
She would have, because if anything, it's just to bug you. But yeah, it's we got these groups but you got Carol with the king, and there you got the relationship.
I don't think
going
she
on.
is with him.
Well, at the end, she took the ring.
She took the ring at the end. Yeah.
I think what we're seeing though is they're trying to, as writers, trying to build up this.
I think it's
relationship
stupid.
stuff.
I think it's stupid.
I think it's setting up certain people leaving.
It just seemed like this relationship came out of nowhere.
Yeah, it was a little forced.
It just happened. It's like kind of like Rick and Michonne. It just all of a sudden one episode they're together. It's like, actually they were together. Yeah. All of a sudden it's like, what's going on there?
Yeah.
Like there's no setup of this relationship. So as a viewer, you don't have any history.
When we came into this season though, it was you had almost 18 months passed.
Yeah.
So they quickly established all these changes we had, between Maggie and the baby, the different relationships going on. The fact that now that Negan's been basically locked up and everything else, they basically took the saviors and locked them up to the most part, or which one survived, and then the workers there that were taken care of by the saviors are now kind of like, well, wait a minute, they took care of us pretty good compared to you guys, because now they're being kind of punished for the saviors.
So I am curious to see moving forward though.
Yeah.
Now that they are kind of breaking away from the comics totally.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of characters that weren't in the comics. Carl's gone. Carl was the central focus after they decided to do a time jump, and after they caught Negan and locked him up.
And we know Rick's going to be gone.
Yeah, Rick. We already know Rick's leaving,
and he's a main character still in the comics, right? Him and Carl are still.
Yeah, Carl's still around. Rick is still around, and it's funny though is we had a guy lose his arm this weekend, and they still can't get rid of Rick's hand.
They just didn't want to do the CGI for all those episodes.
Yeah, now we have to do it for the other guy, but I think he's not going to last much longer.
Andrew Lincoln should have dedicated himself to the part and cut his own hand off, to save the CGI cost.
There it goes.
That's what they should have done.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how it goes forward. This I'm actually enjoying it better than I had the last couple of years with the movement they're going there.
I will say I am going to watch episode 3 now, because I took a break for a while there. I didn't even watch the second after Carl died. The rest of that season I didn't watch it anymore.
Yeah, but we also got the return of the helicopter this last episode.
Yeah, I think I have a feeling she's a bad guy. I think she's the one that's the bad guy.
I don't know.
What's her name? Jadis?
Something like that.
Jadis.
But I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. She's also not talking as weird as she did when she was in charge of the trash people.
So was she faking that before?
I don't know. See, that's the thing. We still got to learn more about her.
It's funny. She looks so different with her hair now, because
she went brunette.
And she had that like crazy bangs going on, and is something vibrating?
Yeah, I think it's construction outside. We're building a parking garage right behind the building here.
Earthquake!
And so they must be moving some of the heavy equipment, and we're going, why is everything vibrating?
We're like, what the heck is going on?
I don't know, but the helicopter, they've introduced the helicopter a couple times over the years, so now we see it again. And then
it was in the distance.
It was in the distance. It was hovering. Mm-hmm. So who's watching these people.
Yeah.
So we have another group now. There's always talks of the Whisperers from the comic coming in. We know they're going to come in eventually. We've seen hints of them before.
We're going to find out that the real world is still fine, and this is really a giant dome, like Hunger Games. This was the simulation for the Hunger Games. This is really a prequel for Katniss.
Yeah. So we're interested to see how that falls in there. So
and then the other show, which is in some ways extremely different, more campy and everything else, but more serious at the same time at times, is Z Nation.
Yeah.
Now, we haven't really addressed Z Nation, I think, since we've been on the air.
We talked a little bit about it, I think, early on when we first started, but we really haven't got into too much. I've always liked Z Nation. The best thing about Z Nation was when it started off, it was in a lot of ways what Land of the Dead should have been for Romero. It was actually a cross-country journey, and they had the whole plot was they called it Operation Bite Mark to take the Murphy to to California because his blood because he could survive the bites and not turn, and basically they're going to get a cure for the zombie.
Yeah, what's interesting about Z Nation too, a little backstory to it is what a lot of people don't realize: the creator of Z Nation, the guy who's doing all this, he's the same guy who does Sharknado.
Yes,
and he also did. There was a big volcano tarantula movie, and so he specializes in campy. His whole form of movie making is he doesn't care about making good movies. He's all about volume. He puts out like 20 movies a year.
He's doing the Roger Corman / Troma movies. It's all Corman was the same way. Corman just pitched. He goes, okay, here we're gonna do this movie. You're writing, you're directing. You got 30 days.
Yep.
And he just crank them out.
Bam, 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 and they're all super low budget, so they can make good money. And then they had a hit with Sharknado, and that like skyrocketed them. And then from there, he branched out into the Z Nation. For a series. So that's a little backstory. So that's where you get some of the really campy part.
And he did combine them because we did have the Zombie NATO episode.
That was an homage to his Sharknado, which is funny because then you ended up in Walking Dead finally having a hurricane,
right?
And some zombies flying through the air. But
it worked for Z Nation.
But Z Nation, I'll tell you this: people, Walking Dead gets all the praise, but Walking Dead is not brave enough to have a 2-story tall cheese wheel go flying through the fields and taking out 50 or 100 zombies.
It was they tried to do it with this last Walking Dead where Rick cut down the lawn. And that was they were doing
actually that was
stuff.
pretty cool. But
I mean, you had Z Nation the first episode, which I know you haven't seen this yet. He told me I can give a little bit of spoilers on it because he doesn't care right now. He'll catch up.
Yeah, I'll catch up.
But you had what's her name, the main girl?
Roberta.
Roberta has met up with this guy played by Mario Van Peebles, who I always
I didn't even know he was alive still.
Yep, and he looks the same.
Does he always wear eyeliner?
Probably, but he looks like he just walked off the set of Posse. Okay, did Posse in that?
Yeah.
So he's got that Western look to him. Well, he's got a farm, and now one thing about Z Nations, they still have gasoline stores. They haven't addressed the decay aspect of it.
But the thing with them is they're not trying to be a realistic portrayal.
So they actually were trying to start. They were doing some field work, and they have basically a harvester, and the zombies come out and attack. So they end up killing a bunch of them. They hop in there, and they're just
mowing them over. Yeah.
So that was
so many. But Z Nation will cover. Actually, though, in a way, they do address this gasoline stuff because what we find is there's these pockets of like mega corporations still existing. Right. They're trying to do their own plan to create a new world and stuff. And these characters are just bouncing between these different groups. But like they addressed like Z-weed. You got Doc who's into marijuana.
Growing marijuana through the zombies.
Yeah. And it gave this extra powerful marijuana. But if you smoked marijuana and blew the smoke into the zombie's face, they actually started becoming normal.
Yeah.
So they explored whether or not that was a cure at one point.
Right.
And it was Amish. You had Amish zombies at one point.
That was funny. Yeah, they've explored different regions and places like that.
And their blood turned into anthrax. So when you killed them, they actually exploded into a cloud of anthrax. So you couldn't breathe in.
And then they've dealt with the Canadian and the colder areas and stuff like that. And of course, you had what's his name? The guy, the broadcaster.
Steve Citizen Z.
Citizen Z, who was trying to originally was up in the Arctic. It was like the last military guy left alive at the Arctic, and so he's trying to get the word out, and he finds out about Operation Bite Mark, so he's trying to coordinate helping them because he's got still access to all the satellites and everything else.
Right.
So he can see stuff and talk to him and that.
Yep.
And actually, in this last episode that I watched last night from last Friday, we actually saw him, and he got to meet them in person for the first time.
Right.
Because they were they're in this new America, and they were having an election, and he actually was like a YouTuber, so he was like videoing everything and streaming it.
Well, what was brilliant about Z Nation's start is how they started was they had a couple actors who were bigger names.
Yeah.
So you're watching this thinking, okay, I know who the main players are, and they kill them off very quick. And then you're like, what?
Well, yeah, it was Tom Everett Scott from That Thing You Do. He was on it, and he dies like 3/4 through the first season. And I was like, wait a minute, this is the main guy, and he was the main character.
It's like, how do you kill him off?
And it was great. They actually what they did was they set up like a Rick character to be in charge of this group, and then they did what Walking Dead wouldn't do. They killed him off.
And then the other one was Michael from Lost. I forget what his name is in real life.
Yeah.
But he was. It's like, okay, well, he's a main character. They killed him like a half season later. It's like, what?
It really set up in that first season that they weren't afraid to do stuff, and then we started seeing some of the absurd stuff. Like you always said that someone would actually set up a place where they collect all the zombie celebrities.
Oh yeah. So season 2, brilliant thing. So they got George R.R. Martin to be part of this, and who is the writer of Game of Thrones, and so in this episode they find this museum, and this one guy became a collector. He would go out and try to find the celebrities who've turned into zombies, and he collects them and makes exhibits with them in it.
Yeah.
And one of the exhibits was George R.R. Martin with all the copies of the Game of Thrones books, and just through muscle memory they would put a book in front of the zombie Martin, and he'd be like, and he would sign it. And here's the thing, it's so absurd, but if that was real life, there would be a real person trying to collect all of their favorite celebrities.
Oh yeah, there would be. And and I swear they'd have to have someone to get like zombie Woody Harrelson.
Yep.
They put him behind the thing, and they'd have press this button here, and it'd be sound clips from Zombieland.
Yep.
He'd be like, Bill freaking Murray.
Exactly. There would be people doing. And one time they had a zombie strip club.
Yeah.
They go in, and this guy has all these zombie girls dancing, and the one, and she spins on the pole, and her arm rips off. Yeah. She goes flying. But somebody would do that.
The little things that were absurd like that, and the characters are looking, going, "This is ridiculous." The whole time they're going through it, but like these are things that would happen because there's these morons out there that would do this.
Yeah, I really, really want a Walking Dead Z Nation crossover, though.
Oh, see, that'd be great.
It would be so odd. Even if it's something, a small amount.
Because most of Z Nation's actually taking place west of the Mississippi.
Yeah.
Or up north in Canada and that.
What I would love to see, though, even something small, like when the Murphy, as everyone called them, was they were trying to get him across the country. Remember there was like this crayon drawing of what he looked like? It said wanted, and this crayon drawing of what he looked like. I would love to just see that in the background, like Daryl's going through the woods with his crossbow, and then you just see posted on one of the trees the Murphy wanted poster in the background. I would love that so much.
I think it'd be cool. But I love Z Nation. It's been a lot of fun.
It is fun.
Nice thing is Netflix has the first 4 seasons.
Yes.
So you can go back if you haven't watched it and start from the beginning. Let me put it this way. Even if you're just a slight fan of zombie stuff, you'll like this. It's more humor than zombies. There's not really anything scary at all about this one. So the horror factor is very
gory.
There's a little gore.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. And that's great. But you got great characters. And we've had a chance to meet, both of us met Doc from the show. We've both met Keith, who plays Murphy.
Keith Allen plays
and he's
Murphy,
a little shorter than you think he is.
Keith Allen?
Yeah.
He's a good height.
Well, no, but I thought he was taller.
Oh, he's taller than me.
He was not much.
But he's very nice.
In comparison to everybody else, he's really he's
very nice. He came to my booth and we talked for a while. Found out that my Z Nation poster was actually on on set. They made shirts of it. He said, "Yeah, we actually wear a shirt with that picture on." I'm like, "Oh, cool."
And
send me a picture of everyone wearing it.
Yeah, Scott didn't get one.
That's okay. I just want a picture of everyone wearing it. Yeah, that's all I want. I'll be happy with that. But and the way they got that is I contacted the producer of the show who does Sharknado, and I shared that with him, and he loved it. So I'm like, well, if you want anything else, let me know. I never heard anything back.
Yeah, well, he should have.
But it was just cool that Keith Allen, when he was going by and we were talking, and he's looking at the picture going, I know that picture. I'm like, oh, cool. And then we got to meet Doc at Grand Rapids.
Right. He was really nice.
What's amazing about him, if you guys know the show, I'm blanking on Doc's real name, the actor's name, but look him up without a beard. Yeah. Oh, my God. He looks 50 years younger.
Well, his hair's shorter, no beard.
Yeah.
And, and I look at him, when you saw the picture, I'm like, no.
It's hard to believe it. He looks like a model almost. Yeah. And then you see him as Doc. So like, how is this the same guy? I don't understand. Yeah. But good stuff. They do such a great job on that show, and I have a blast.
Right now, it's my favorite show on Sci-Fi, and I think it's one of the best run shows they've got. It looks good too. They're not trying to be over CGI. They've kept it as practical as possible. You get a little bit of CGI here and there, but like I said, the absurdity stuff. I mean, it's like they find a farm basically, and this guy's got zombies running everything. He's got them on a wheel. They're walking around the wheel, and it's powering everything. And he's like, well,
and somebody would do that. Like, why aren't they doing that? Why isn't Rick taking captive zombies? You could hang a little baby in front of them to make them move. When your baby's napping, you hang it in front of the zombie, and they'll power a generator. Yeah, you can do that. The thing is, Z Nation goes down these paths that Walking Dead isn't.
Right.
And the other part, though, is because Z Nation is a show that's constantly traveling, it gives them so many more storylines.
Right.
They can create weird groups that they encounter, weird cults. They address aliens at Roswell.
Well, yeah, they also dressed. They had like a weird like circus compound.
Yep.
And they were doing like sideshows and things like that. So, and they dealt with like that aspect in different ways. Yeah, because that's an easy one to deal with. And then you had like it was like an ice cream truck or something going on collecting the zombies and.
They were luring people in to capture them, and I forget what the reason was, but it was a trap.
Yeah,
and they always end up captured. And like Doc was saying, I watched all the way through halfway. I got halfway through season 4.
Yeah,
and then they did their mid-season break, and then when they started back up, I didn't realize they started back up, and that's how I fell behind.
Yeah.
So now I'm getting caught back up on season 4, so I could get into season 5 now, because now Netflix has them.
Right, and it makes it a lot easier for that.
But what's funny is like Doc, they're captured by these people, and they're in this labyrinth, and there's all these things they have to do to try to get out. And he's like, "Why is it always an evil, diabolical group we run into? Why can't we just find a group of nice people?"
Well, and every time you think you do, it's like this numerica and that. So it's interesting. And there's I didn't give away a lot from those episodes. You'll have a couple good surprises on that one. And in terms of how things tie into the past with a couple of characters. And I thought it was cool though, just seeing Citizen Z actually meet everybody. It was like they were like Citizen Z. And he's like fanboying out. Operation Blake Mark's here.
Yeah. So check them out. Z Nation is on Sci-Fi.
Yes.
And Walking Dead is on AMC. So you can check them both out.
And Z Nation's Friday nights and Walking Dead is Sunday nights. And they're both, like Friday night was Z Nation and Walking Dead started up, so they started the same weekend. So they should run about pretty concurrent on that.
Maybe with Rick leaving Walking Dead, we could have Andrew Lincoln come over to Z Nation.
He should do like one episode where he just kind of shows up.
As Andrew Lincoln.
Yeah, as Andrew Lincoln.
With his British voice.
Yeah.
Not with his Rick voice. That would be... Actually, he should actually play as Andrew Lincoln. And they're like, didn't you play that guy in that zombie TV show? That's something Z Nation would do.
Right.
He would actually be Andrew Lincoln, and maybe he's holding up signs, like in the movie that he was. He had that movie where Love Actually was.
Yeah.
And in Z Nation, he actually didn't have an arm.
Yeah. They CGI'd the arm on in the show. because they did make a reference to Daryl.
Yes.
In the George R. R. Martin episode as a zombie, he's like, "How did you find him?" And they're like, "Well, actually, I was at a Comic-Con right when the zombie apocalypse started, and some greasy-haired guy with a crossbow tried to defend him, but the zombies took him out rather easily." So there was a playful jab at Daryl,
right? A little Walking Dead jab, but I love the fact that Z Nation is its own thing. It wasn't, and even though it was probably brought out because of the success of Walking Dead, it truly is its own entity, and it's really cool. And I think that's why it's had a good success and a good run. And
well, even the way it started, I don't think they expected to go more than one season, because the way they ended it was all the nuclear bombs were launched, and then they're like, "Oh, we got picked up for a second season." So then second season, all the nukes detonated in the air and everyone was fine.
Yep.
Actually, no, they did hit, because then they were dealing with the fallout for a little bit.
Yeah, there was
some that hit.
So it was interesting. It was basically almost not the complete, Dallas in the shower bit. So.
But they have developed its own unique universe in their, for their own little canon.
And we got they have their core group. You get, let's say we have Doc Roberta. You got 10K. Red's back in it now, and
I don't remember Abby. I gotta go back and look up when Addie died.
She died third season.
I can't remember it though. She was my favorite character too, and
that's the thing. They're not afraid. It's just like Walking Dead is not afraid to kill a character, but they will kill a main guy if they dealing the whole season with him and they kill him off. It's like, wait a minute, what? So that's kind of our zombie thing on there.
There you go, zombies.
But this week also, who caught a chance to catch the Hellboy trailer?
Hellboy.
So that's a new movie coming out next year. It was shown at New York Comic Con. Someone videoed it and released it all over the internet.
Leaked it.
Yep. Yeah, I
don't think it was leaked. I think that was a planned leak.
It sounds like it.
Because when things are truly leaked, they get whipped down so quick. And I really think this is more of a Deadpool marketing technique, where Deadpool's footage was leaked.
Oh yeah,
but it stayed up for all week and got millions of views.
As last I saw, the Hellboy trailer is still up and still being shared all over.
But it's
but it was cool.
It looked great.
Yeah, we got to see him in the costume. He looks really good. Very similar to.
I'm blanking on the actor's name. David. He's in Stranger Things.
Right.
He's a cop in Stranger Things. He's playing Hellboy.
Yep.
Which is actually he's a big size. He's a big guy.
Yeah, he's a good sized guy.
He's something like 6'2" or something.
Saw him at a show this year. I think it was Indiana or something like that.
Yeah.
He's a good sized guy.
But like Dominic was mentioning in the trailer, the voice almost sounds like the Ron Perlman version of Hellboy.
Right.
And the look is very much like, so you really could.
Yeah. David Harbour's in it. Mila Jovovich is going to be in it.
Yeah, she's the main female character.
Yeah, Daniel Day Kim's going to be in it. I like him. Ian McShane.
Daniel Day Kim.
Yeah, from Lost.
Oh, any relation to Daniel Day Lewis?
No.
Oh, they got the same first and middle name.
And then a bunch of other people I don't really know, but I probably have seen him in other stuff.
What's interesting about Daniel Day Kim?
Yes,
he actually doesn't.
There's the official look on YouTube.
He's American.
Yes.
And I mean, his ancestry is Korean, I think. But he doesn't actually speak Korean naturally.
Right.
So when they hired him for Lost, and he had to speak all these Korean roles, he had to actually learn Korean for it. He actually has perfect English. So it's just funny that everyone wants to cast him because he's Korean, so they want him to speak Korean parts, but he actually speaks English.
Yes. But it comes out in April of 2019.
Okay. So the high-res official trailer is now out.
It doesn't look. Actually, I think that was from before that, so I don't think it's actually out. I think that was done before that. And I'm shocked they haven't released it, because usually within a week after it airs at a Comic-Con they release it.
But I think a big part of it is on the internet, when something is leaked, people have a urgency, like, oh, I gotta watch it before it's pulled.
Right.
And I think that's the technique they're using. It's like, oh, it's leaked, hurry, watch it before it's pulled.
Yeah.
And then they leave it up for a week.
And I think it's one of the things that's not going to hurt them. And people are excited about this.
It's not going to hurt them.
I like the first two movies, and they wanted to do a third. Part of it was Guillermo was doing his other stuff, and they couldn't really come down with it. And so they basically didn't have a contract in place for the third one.
And Ron Perlman has given his blessing on the new one.
Yeah, I'm hoping that he's got a bit in the movie as
like a cameo.
Yeah, and we can see him somewhere. It'd be a great little handoff.
Yeah. I And to be honest, Ron Perlman, I really did enjoy him as Hellboy. He's getting up there in age.
It's mid-60s now. And
of course, most of the suit is a rubber suit, so I guess you don't have to.
Well, yeah, when they did this, it's been 10 years since the last one came out, 9 or 10 years, something like that. And he looked good. He's in good shape. He's not in bad shape now, but I've noticed...
maybe he could play Hell Grandpa.
Yeah.
Hellboy is his great-grandson, and he's Hell Grandpa.
Yeah.
Get off my hell.
Yeah.
All you do-gooders get out of here.
Instead of the horns trying to grow up, like his horns just kind of droop.
They droop. There you go. Yeah. Saggy horns. Ooh.
There you go. He goes, I used to have the right hand of doom.
Now it's the right hand of arthritis.
Yep.
That could be his role.
There you go. But yeah, he's gotten to that point now. I saw him in a couple of things recently, and he's kind of physically wise. I don't think he could actually handle the role.
He's
voice wise he could.
Oh, his voice is still.
So this is cool. Bring awesome. David Harbour. David Harbour's a good sized guy. He looks great in the role. The makeup looked great. They did a great job of makeup.
And he's at an age where they could do this. He could go 10, 15 years in this role.
Yeah, they could easily get another 3 movies out. Him, this one, and 2 more movies if they want to do that. And
is Guillermo del Toro part of this one?
I don't think so.
This is part of the separation, right?
Yeah,
that's why it's a whole new one.
It's a whole new launch, and I think Mike Mignola's still involved. They're trying to go more towards the actual comic book in terms of stories.
My understanding is he is still involved, and Mike Mignola is the original creator of Hellboy.
Right, he's a creator. So we'll see a lot of cool things from that.
I got to meet him at San Diego.
Yeah,
very nice guy. Most of what I know about Hellboy and him is because of Kevin Meinert, who's been on the show, a friend of ours. He's a huge fan, so I've learned a lot over the years about.
I've not read a ton of Hellboy, but what I've read, I've always liked. I've got a couple of trades at home.
The art style.
Yeah,
he's very good with the heavy. He goes with pure black and white and a lot of heavy inks, and he does a good job with those hard shadows, which a lot of Kevin Meinert's style is very similar to that. Mm-hmm. So I always enjoy. I enjoy seeing people's art styles when they're different from my own.
Right.
So it's like I look at it's like, oh man, I wish I could draw like that. There's so many different art styles out there that when I find somebody who draws like me, I'm like, I can do that. I don't care about that guy.
Yeah.
But people who draw different, I seem to admire more for some reason.
Yeah. Well, once we get the official thing on Hellboy, we'll be talking about more of that probably after the first year and that. Yeah. But this weekend you've got the marathon.
Yeah, that's coming up quick. I'm definitely feeling my age this year. And I'm not old. I'm only 45. But no, what happened was I overtrained the first half of the year. And I had a goal of hitting 1,200 miles this year, 100 miles per month. And first half of the year, I was doing excellent. Mm-hmm. I was cranking out those miles and feeling great. But the last 8 weeks, I've been a mess. So I've had to go way back. So I will survive the marathon.
Yeah.
But it's going to be brutal.
And you've got and Jill's running it as well.
Jill is running it.
Our former guest Jill Webler.
Yes,
from
she
Keller
will be
Williams.
much faster than I am. Last year I would have beat her, but this year, because of the way my training went, she's going to crush my time.
She's going to whoop you.
She is. So anyways, we would appreciate your support. We are running for a cause, actually. We have a ministry through our church, an orphanage. It's out in Thailand, but the sex trade trafficking industry is huge out there. And these kids, families will just abandon their kids on the street because they're so poor.
Yeah.
And it's like, you have 3 kids. It's actually, survival. It's like, we'll send you out to the street because if we keep you, we don't have enough food for the family. So these kids just get abandoned, and there's just packs of children that are just left out there. Mm-hmm. And one of the ways that, you got to find a way to survive. And one of the ways they survive is they get into the sex trade industry because that pays and they get food. And so anyways, we support an orphanage out there that takes these kids in, gets them off the street, gives them a place, a shelter, food, clothing. We teach them about Christ as well. And, but we provide them an education, and when they grow up, they actually are able to go out in the world and get jobs and do all that. So that's the ministry we're supporting. Mm-hmm. And if you want to donate to it, I would appreciate it greatly. It'd be an awesome birthday gift. go to, I took my Beloved Witness page and it redirects to my fundraising page. So if you go to belovedwitness.com, it'll take you to my page.
Awesome. I think it's a great charity in that, and definitely if you guys can donate, it'll help out.
Every little bit helps.
And nothing goes to Scott. Everything goes right to the charity.
No, nothing goes to me except, it does help physically, though. When you're running and there's actually people supporting the cause, yes. It does help. So I can guarantee you Sunday I'm going to be in absolute agony. Plus, it's going to be cold. It's projected to be the coldest morning since last April. When we're starting, there's going to be a frost advisory. It's supposed to be 31 degrees. Plus, we're down by the water, which means it's going to be about 21 degrees. So it's going to be a cold start to the morning. So it'll warm my heart to know you donated.
That's good. I think it's a good cause, and so definitely cheer on Scott. And I'll be working Sunday, not thinking a word about it.
And if you go follow us on Facebook, we'll be posting links. You can follow our progress. I didn't even hear what you said. What did you say?
I said I'd be working on Sunday, not even thinking a word about you running.
Oh, that is true.
And Dom's over here laughing.
That is true. Yeah. But my race number, I think I'm 2202 is my bib number. I'm either 2202 or 2022. Okay. I think I'm 2202.
So I'm sure they got updated stuff on the
if you go to the free press, you can enter in there's a race tracker. So if you have runners' names or bib numbers, you can follow them and you can see my progress.
Yeah, I should be done working about 5, so I'll check then and I'll see where Scott's at.
If you see my,
he's at mile 4.
You'll see my pace going really well until about the halfway mark. Then you'll see it go to a crawl,
and then you'll see the diversion when he hits the donut shop. Oh, look, apple pies.
I prefer to call that the carb loading stop.
So that's what we're doing. We're going to attach an apple pie in front of you right here, and you can just run after that the whole time.
Yeah, so
hostess, coming.
So next week we have a guest on the show next week.
Now I have to make an announcement here. Heads Up Studios posted that they were coming on the show, and that would be Jay Brandt. Jay commented he was coming in only for the nudity. We have requested that Jay wear complete clothes. That includes pants.
We can't guarantee it, though.
We can't guarantee it, but we have requested. This is not like the store where it says shirts and shoes required. We wear shirts, shoes, and pants.
Looking at the video, if he was pantless, we'd be okay because the table would cover it.
Well, yes, so we'll have to make sure on that. But we got our good buddy Jay Brandt joining us next week.
We are looking forward to it.
From Heads Up Studios. So you can on Facebook look for Heads Up Studios, and you can see all the cool artwork he does and posts all the time. Because he's going to come out and hang out with us on Wednesday and have a really good time talking about all the artwork. He's also a audiologist with I'm not sure he's not called that, but I'm going to say an audiologist with Belltone.
A hearing guy.
Does the hearing aid stuff for Belltone and has done that for years. So we'll talk a little bit about that.
Yes.
And
he actually has a real job.
Yeah, he does. He does have a real job.
And then he does that audio stuff too.
And then he collects a million Funko Pops. So we'll talk about that too.
Oh, that's right.
He's like the Funko Pop guy of Michigan.
That's
so
right.
He posted the other day, he got a new Jabberjaw, and I was like, ooh, that looks cool.
That did look cool.
All right. But that's it for us this week. So until then, join us live next week, 10 a.m. Dominic, take us out.